Howdy, howdy, friends. For the past few days, Russia has been erupting with breaking news. Yeah, I've said many times that there were going to be so many news right after the president elections were done, but even I didn't think that it would be so intense and so many news. Today, instead of a usual message, one message, I gave you three, because there are so many these days. The messages are what's happening with Patrushev and Dumin, how China is having Russia right now as we speak, and what is the balance of power in Russia, in very nutshell. Howdy, howdy, everyone. Welcome to Inside Russia. My name is Konstantin, and this is where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, no propaganda, BS or lies here, only truth, common sense, and logic. And some emotions too, because I am a human being after all. Before I start, please be informed that my live streams always consist of three parts. Main message, about 30 minutes or so. Then the live stream chat, where we discuss and share opinions. And we finish with prayer. And you're welcome to watch any way and any part of it, anything you like. So let me start with the balance of power. Hugely important to understand what's happening with current affairs in Russia. What is the current political landscape? Then I'll talk of Nikolai Patrushev and Alexei Dumin. And there's something very odd and very important happening to that couple. And we'll finish with Putin's visit to China, his visit in China right now, and how Z is having Putin in China right now. Well, let me start with a personal story, a real story that happened just a couple days ago here in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. And this is a story of a Russian fella owning a factory in China. So, as you know, every morning we meet for breakfasts at Tashkent Breakfast Club. Few hundred of refugees that have fled Russia, a community that we have formed, we call it Tashkent Breakfast Club. This is not just a place to meet for breakfast, but it's a club for the Russians who are against war, who are active, who are decent. Every Sunday we have lectures, and each one of us is an expert on something. This past week I was approached by a guy, a good friend of us, and he suggested we would listen to his friend who was visiting Tashkent, coming from China. His friend was looking for business, networking, partners, possible sales in Uzbekistan. And he owns a factory, as it turns out to be, a factory in China. Oh, sure, it's interesting, you know. So this guy comes in and he tells us that a long time ago he bought a factory in China, and the factory produces lighting, fixtures, light bulbs. Yeah, it's pretty sophisticated production. And his main market has always been Russia, until recently. For example, the city of Norilsk is lit by almost exclusively his lighting. And then he was telling that he wanted to move away from Russia and expand into other countries, including in Uzbekistan. And he was looking for partners, sales channels. He was asking for advice. And at the end of his presentation story, I came and asked why he wanted to leave Russia, because he had had successful business there. And at the end of the story, I tell you what the guy told me, and that was a revelation for me. I'll tell you when I'll be talking about China. Now, let me start with telling you a little bit about a balance of power in Russia. Have you thought of who Vladimir Putin is? No, who is he? He is a Russian. He is a person who, by different ways and means, has consolidated all the power in Russia. In other words, he has become the dictator. Russian propaganda is trying to paint a pretty picture on this political facade of Russia, but we all understand who Vladimir Putin is and what is really going on in Russia. And who is a dictator? A giant, perhaps? The strongest man in the crowd who comes out with a sword and defeats everyone with fencing skills? No, not really. Dictator is usually a small, physically weak man who is a genius at balancing and brokering power. Let's take today's Russia. There are many power clans in Russia. It's a big country, tons of resources, many rich people, 100 million people of population. So many powerful clans, strong and rich. And old clans and new clans, some were created by Vladimir Putin, some came way longer before him, and some clans even installed him in power, helped him to get a head start. So many clans, and any such clan could dethrone Vladimir Putin easily, because Putin is alone. If Vladimir Putin faces against a clan, clan wins. We all saw what last June happened when Private Army Wagner Group and Yevgeny Prigozhin staged the mutiny. Everyone turned away from Vladimir Putin, and he was scared, publicly trembling. What Putin genius at is balancing the political clans. All clans are at constant war with each other, obviously, like spiders in a can. And it's not just in Russia. If there's a position of absolute power, like in Russia, like, say, Roman Empire 2,000 years ago, French kingdoms, so there's one person, then everyone around that person who holds the ultimate absolute power is at constant war with each other. So all clans are at constant war with each other. They temporarily make alliances, but they are all enemies to each other. And Putin's strength is that he is convinced everyone that he is the only person who can control all clans, who can balance everyone out. He's convinced everyone that without him, there will be a situation much worse than with him. Without him, all clans will be in a total war that will annihilate everyone. And at the end of the war, one super clan would emerge and take everything away from others. So all the clans are scared that without Putin, without the balancer, there will be a huge total war and everyone's going to be destroyed. In order to convince everyone, Putin has destroyed all state institutions. Basically, what state institutions, democratic institutions, are needed for, they balance power instead of the strong men. Well, Putin does not need competition. That's what he doesn't like. So he's destroyed, the Supreme Court, the Parliament, upper and lower chamber, the siloviki, the government agencies, everyone take orders. Everyone takes orders from Vladimir Putin. Okay, and the institutions, state institutions that are supposed to be the checks and balances, they're just names basically. There cannot be a strong assistant or a family member to Vladimir Putin because they would instantly be a threat. Vladimir Putin is alone on top, and he has convinced everyone that him departing would be a catastrophe for everyone. You know what death for Vladimir Putin, political and most likely physical death, is? Stagnation. When a freeze. When everyone, the political situation is calm and quiet and nothing happens. Then clans around him start making deals, making alliances, okay? And that's what he's afraid of. He needs constant change. He needs constant shuffling. And that's basically what he's doing right now. What we're seeing is he's shuffling the government. He does not kick many people out. He is keeping, well, he's kicking out a couple powerhouses, but everyone else, he's shuffling them, okay? Between the clans, he's taken away from some clans, giving it to other clans, and so forth. And it's a total constant movement. And he's balancing it. And he's genius. He's one of the best in the world at that, okay? That's how he's keeping power. Therefore, clans are putting up with him. With one man in the center of this fragile system of beasts, the system that he has been creating for the past 25 years, just for this purpose, to be in the center of it and to manipulate others, to move others, to shuffle others, okay? But there's something interesting going on right now. You see, if a dictator wants to be in power for a long time, for decades, like Putin has been, he has to look into the future a little bit, even 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, okay? Because if he wants to stay in power for 5 years, he needs to understand what is going to be happening with the country in 5 years. This is important, okay? And there's a sign that what is happening right now in Russia for Vladimir Putin is absolutely critical. For his power, it is critical. He's concentrating on today cannibalizing Russia's future. He absolutely knows what he's doing. He knows that by, let's say, pardoning criminals now, he is creating a perfect storm of incredible crime wave that Russia has not seen in its history in a few years from now. He knows that by the decisions of to invade Ukraine and to continue this criminal war, he's destroying Russian economic future. He knows that he won't be able to sell gas and oil for much longer. Okay, so he's destroying the economy, he's destroying the demography by sending Russian men to the war. He's destroying Russia's neighbor, Ukraine, and all future with that country for Russia. He's destroying the education, healthcare. You know what? He could care less for the future. It seems like his main goal right now is to prolong his power now for weeks, perhaps days. And he knows he's getting weaker. And this is why he's doing what he's doing. And something is telling me that the grand finale is coming, is nearing. Okay, enough of the theory. Let's talk about some personalities, what's happening in Russia. Let's jump to the next message of Patrushev and Dumin and why it's important. But before, I'd like to thank you, everyone, all who bought me coffees at buymeacoffee.com. Thank you so very much. Your support shows that you like what I do, and I find it incredibly inspiring and so great. Thank you so very much. So at this point, you've probably heard of the shakeup of Russian leadership that Vladimir Putin has done, is getting close to finishing it, okay? Well, I've been talking about it for the past few days. Nothing was happening for so many months, and all of a sudden, a huge shakeup in a matter of days. I call this process, to me it's very natural, and I call this process sugarcoating. And sugarcoating is off. You see, Russia is not well. It's feverish. Any area of the country you look at, you'll see nothing but big troubles. Anything. The military, the society, the economy, the healthcare, the education, the foreign relations. Everything is either shaking or falling apart already. And the politicians know that well. And some Russians deny it. Some Russians believe this picture that is being painted, the sugarcoating. And some don't. And some not too many, but some see what's going on. So yet, in the last 9 months, Russian leadership and the government were painting this incredible picture, much nicer than the reality. I call this process, I call it what they were doing, sugarcoating, painting the facade, whatever. Sugarcoated. Almost everything in Russia was well. You looked at the picture and, hey, you could even go to any supermarket and see no shortages and, Russian ruble was not devaluing for 6 months and so forth, You've seen it everywhere. No troubles. Economy is doing fine. The military was doing fine. Foreign relations, never better. Everything was said to be peachy and rosy. Amazingly enough, most Russians were believing the picture again. This is the problem with sugarcoating. It cannot last forever. One can sugarcoat, but for limited time only. And the limit was up on May 7th. I initially thought that it would be up after the election was over, March 17th, but they waited until Putin was actually inaugurated and announced by all the gang, another president of Russia, May 7th. Vladimir Putin was inaugurated as the new president for the 5th time. That very day, the gang has dropped sugarcoating. It stopped. It was not needed anymore. And the reality started setting in. And now no one is sugarcoating the reality. The government has been shaken up instantly after sugarcoating was off. The most publicly discussed change was the Minister of Defense, of course, or Ministry of Offense, you can call it. Sergei Shoigu was fired, nullified, and replaced with nobody, Andrei Belousov. Some say Shoigu was promoted and made the head of Russia's Security Council. But that's not true, and I discussed it in details. Please watch right here. I'm going to put a link why Sergei Shoigu was nullified, not promoted. If you haven't watched it, please do so. But there's a change that has not been discussed much. Yet it's very important. Nikolai Patrushev, Russia's great cardinal, was fired as the head of the Security Council of Russia to give place, the chair, to Sergei Shoigu. And 2 days later, he was appointed a member of President's Chief of Staff's office. Listen to this. An assistant to the president overseeing shipbuilding in Russia. At the same time, another powerhouse politician, Alexei Dumin, was fired as the governor of Tula province and appointed the same as Patrushev, a member of President's Chief of Staff office, an assistant to the president overseeing sports in Russia. Sports. Overseeing sports. Yesterday, both men were, Dumin was officially on top of the game. He was controlling the province. He was controlling private army. He was controlling all money flows that going in from the federal budget and so forth. Now he's overseeing sports. And Nikolai Patrushev, he's a different story. Why do I find it so important? Nikolai Patrushev is the great cardinal of Russia, the man behind Vladimir Putin in many ways, not in all, but in many. He was the head of the KGB. He had held real power. He still has close connection to KGB, as he placed many generals into key roles back in the days, and they owe him. And there's never a former head of KGB, if you know what I mean. So he's been exercising an incredible power, probably second strongest to Putin himself. He's been one of the main architects of modern political system of Russia, called the vertical of power, with the siloviki, with their power to use violence against citizens. And Alexei Dumin is a figure of smaller magnitude than Patrushev, but Dumin is also big. He is more of a dark horse of the system. Putin's trusted bodyguard, the keeper of president's personal secrets. Dumin had been a part of the Secret Service until 2017. Then he was transferred to another job. He was appointed by Putin to be the governor of Tula province. He is considered by many a potential successor to Putin. I'm not sure about that, but there's a popular opinion. My opinion about successor in general, that whoever will succeed Putin, we don't know about that person. He's going to pop up out of nowhere at the very last moment. And if people are talking about potential successor, that's not going to happen. That's not how it works. So Dumin is still considered by many political experts and many people potential successor to Putin. If we dig deeper, Dumin was behind creating ЧВК Wagner, the private army Wagner group that belonged to the Kremlin. He was behind the creation along with Prigozhin. He was supervising from the Kremlin. And, by the way, he was the one who negotiated the surrender of Yevgeny Prigozhin and ended the mutiny 1 year ago, none other than Alexei Dumin. Both Dumin and Patrushev were relegated from the chairs of big bosses of Russian political Mount Olympus. There you go. That's top of the pyramid. You get it. So they were relegated from the big chairs to the benches of small potatoes in the Russian vertical of power. Now, if we look in the moment, they're nobodies. They're assistants of the president with no power whatsoever, overseeing sports and shipbuilding. They're overseeing, but they don't have power to fire people, to hire people, to, no influence of any money. They just can sit and oversee from afar, and that's it. So there are two oddities, two questions. The first is, not too many people pay attention to that, and I think that's a mistake, okay? Because small things matter. Things that the propaganda talks about it, that's not what you need to look at, okay? That's smoke over the water. Small things that are overlooked by everyone, that's what we need to look at. Then the question is, why 2 days later? This is huge. Usually, when a planned castling, that's a move in chess, exchange happens, like Shoigu went from the Minister of Defense, immediately he was not fired, but he was transferred to the head of the Security Council, okay, of Russia. So a move like that is prepared well in advance. Minister out, new one, old minister out, new one instantly in. Shoigu out, Belousov in. Shoigu out of Minister of Defense, Shoigu in, the head of Security Council. Old one fired and instantly transferred to the new position. That is the sign that person is still in favor. That person is still a part of the vertical of power. That person is still on the inside. Now, this time with Patrushev, it was completely different. He was fired from the head of the Security Council, and he was announced to be transferred to a new position in the future. It took them 2 days to announce where he was heading to. Why? Were they deciding where to place Patrushev? Did they wait for 2 days on purpose? Did they send a message to everyone that Patrushev is not as strong as it used to be? Anyway, that's very odd, and that's a bad sign for Patrushev. That usually doesn't happen in Putin's Russia, okay, in the vertical of power. That could be a message to everyone. This Patrushev is, don't align with him. Be cautious of him, because he is not as what he used to be. And that's a very elegant sign. And again, the only people who are paying attention are those inside the vertical of power. Somehow this is hugely important. And to me, it's visible. It's somehow Russians they just have no clue. I don't know why. What is much bigger question? The second question is, what is next? Most likely it is not a destination for both Dumin and Patrushev, but a transit. But the question is, transit where? I still think there isn't a vacant position in Russia big enough for Patrushev. What is planned next for him? Something has got to be planned, because if not, and that's also a possibility, don't get me wrong, if nothing is planned, if he's going to be stuck at that position for quite some time, because if there's not a plan, then he's losing his power every single day. So if there's no plan, that would change the entire Siloviki political landscape. That would be absolutely major. That would place Patrushev out of the picture, okay? If not, nothing is planned, that would be considered a political exile for both Patrushev and Dumin. No, not exile, political death, okay? Some experts on Russian politics think that the positions for Patrushev and Dumin, these positions, are a part of a cunning plan. And some laugh and say that both Patrushev and Dumin are political corpses right now. In reality, folks, no one knows. I certainly don't. The only two people who would know are Patrushev and Putin, and probably even Dumin wouldn't know. And that's it. I've looked everywhere. I looked for different signs. I've looked at different opinions. I tried to project different situations. Nothing. You gotta be in Putin's head or Patrushev's head to understand what they are planning or what is Putin planning at this point. But this story hasn't ended, and it's still in motion. And I'm keeping my eyes open and will inform you of all the news, and they will be coming. Very many of them. Speaking of the news, please don't forget that every single day I carefully select 9 news from Russia that I find important, and I certainly will be looking for the news about Patrushev and Dumin. And I make them available to Inside Russia patrons. So if you want to receive daily updates of 9 important news, like accidents, new laws, arrests, economic news, prices, Patrushev, Dumin, Belousov, you name it, everything important, then become channel's patron at patreon.com. I will leave a link down below in description. You'll get a lot of value from that. The third message is from China. Putin visited China. He returned to Russia and he came to China yesterday. He visited China for the second time in 7 months. Right after he was inaugurated as the new old president of Russia, the new president for the 5th time, he rushed to China. Now, I'd like to discuss that a little bit. First of all, I find it a political weakness. And not just me. It is a political weakness for many, if not for all. You just can't do that. You can't rush to China right after you are inaugurated. Days. If you want to visit, wait. Take a pause. Keep your face. What Putin has done, rushing to China, he has lost his face. One more time. Once again. He's done that. Now, what are the reasons to go to China? Negotiate relations between Russia and China, development of the relations, and basically negotiate a few things. The real reason why Vladimir Putin has gone to China is that Russia is in trouble, and China is one of the sources of its trouble. You see, when Russia invaded Ukraine and everyone in the world started placing sanctions upon Russia, and Russia became the most sanctioned country in the history of the human race, human beings, Russian politicians had this sort of a trump card in their up their sleeves. They were saying, you know what, we have a powerful ally, a powerful friend, and that is China. China will help us. China will bail us out if worst comes to worst. And there were many examples given. For example, West doesn't want to sell us technology, we'll turn to China. They will replace gladly. The West doesn't want to sell us cars, we'll turn to China. They will replace Western cars gladly. Visa and MasterCard want to leave Russia. Fine, let them leave, but we'll partner with the Chinese payment system, whatchamacallit, Western, I forgot how it's called. I'm sorry. But anyway, this alternative Chinese. Hey, if you remember, if you know, please let me know down in the comments. Totally forgot. I'm sorry. Pay. Western Pay. Union Pay, of course. Union Pay. So we'll team up with Union Pay and we'll easily replace Visa and MasterCard. And that was the case for some time, for about 18 months. But then Chinese started causing problems to Russia. And basically, China was given an option by the United States and the rest of the world, the Western world. They were given a choice. You're either with us or you are with Russia. Choose. And the thing is, what Russians didn't understand, and I don't know how you can't really understand that, but that's probably what happened to Russian politicians. All you need to do is just look at the trade between China and the USA and the trade between Russia and China. It's not comparable. Russia and China, the trade is minuscule compared to Russia, China, and the USA. Whose market China would rather lose, Russian or American? That's no-brainer, right? So after some time, after the start of the war, the Americans started pushing China. Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, visited China, just like Putin, twice in the last 7 months. And he basically threatened China, saying, hey, you got to stop working with Russian companies, with Russian banks. Otherwise, we'll place sanctions upon you. That's called secondary sanctions, my friends. And I've been talking about it for a very long time. And guess what? China said, okay, we'll do that. And on February 14th, they simply stopped receiving money from Russian banks. And that has halted the trade between Russia and China. And that has been a huge, huge problem for Russian economy and for Russian politicians, okay? Because it's not just the consumer goods, it's everything else. You still can get money into China, but it's become risky, and it's become long, and it's become very, very complicated and costly, okay? Most of payments to China are blocked by the Chinese banks, and money are not given back, and they're just frozen. And Russian companies can't do anything. It doesn't matter whether it's a state company like Rostech or it's a small private company, okay? So this is what's happening. Same thing is happening with the Turkish companies, Turkish banks. The United States has pressed Turkey as well, same situation. And Turkey has been blocking transactions with Russia. And it's even worse than with China, okay? Where in China right now, you can somehow make a shaky model out of shit and sticks to somehow go around in many countries, I don't know, Tajikistan, Armenia, Georgia, around and around, and somehow your money would land in China. But with Turkey, no, nothing works. So, if the situation continues, Russia is in big trouble. I mean, you understand, everything comes from China these days. Russia doesn't produce anything, including components for machinery, including tools, big machinery, robots, and everything else. So Vladimir Putin rushed to China to rectify this problem. It was an unofficial goal of the visit, but everyone understands what the goal is. The second goal is to somehow negotiate weapon supplies from China. And the third goal, of course, the power of Siberia too, construction of another pipeline, natural gas into China from Russian gas fields. Official reason was given is Russia would negotiate Chinese version of proposed peace plan for Ukraine, for this conflict, and so forth. So anyway, to make the long story short, Vladimir Putin was slapped in the face during his Chinese visit. He was not greeted by the Chinese president, Xi Jinping. And the Chinese president, from what I understand, has given him much less money than Vladimir Putin was asking for a personal meeting. Around 2 hours, that's it. You know why? Well, because, the Chinese president explained that he was busy. He's very tight schedule. Many Chinese agendas to take care of, okay? I remind you, when he visited Russia about 14 months ago, in March of 2023, he was visiting for 3 days, and Vladimir Putin was all over him, dancing around him, spending as much money as Xi needed, accompanying him everywhere. Well, a little different situation in China. Well, this is the diplomatic etiquette, okay? The Chinese show who is the boss. We'll understand that. We all understand that. Anyway, Vladimir Putin's visit to China has been a failure. Official statement was given by both sides, by the Chinese and by the Russians, and it was a declaration of continuing, growing relationship between China and Russia. In diplomatic language, it's called much ado about nothing. Well, I think the biggest practical thing that Russia got out of the visit of Vladimir Putin to China was the Chinese Customs Service and Health Department has officially, Food and Drug Administration has officially allowed Russian companies to sell Jerusalem artichokes into China. I kid you not. That's what the official statement came out. During the visit, the decision was made by the Chinese to allow Russian companies to sell Jerusalem artichokes. Испанский стыд. All right, folks. I don't really know. In Russian, it's called topinambur. I don't really know what that thing is. It's some kind of a plant, not plant. It's some kind of vegetable. I doubt I have ever seen it. Okay, I didn't see it on sale in Russia. Well, apparently Chinese like to buy it. Vladimir Putin did not make any progress on discussing the relationship with the Russian and Chinese banks. There will be no breakthrough in payments between the banks. There will be no breakthrough in weapons supplies, and there will be no breakthrough in Sila Sibiri 2, the power of Siberia 2. Pretty much this visit was a copy of the visit that he made to China back in November. Okay, he didn't come back with any results whatsoever, and he visited for the second time. Well, I understand the goal. I understand his intentions to rectify this biggest problem that is in Russia right now. Russian money do not get cleared by the Chinese banks, and this is it. This visit has been a failure. Moreover, I think that China has shown the entire world that it has slapped Vladimir Putin and Russia, because he represents Russia, slapped Russia in the face, and it gets away with it fine. So this has been the third news about Russia. And remember I told you the personal story about a Russian fella owning the factory in China. Well, get this, the end of the story. I approached the fellow and I asked him why all of a sudden he decided to switch his business to Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and other countries. And he looked at me and he said, you know what? Russia is not worth it anymore. What do you mean? He said, it's too much trouble, inside and outside Russia. He said they are tightening government control over the supplies inside Russia, officially. He said there are changing bidding procedures. They're tightening the bidding procedures, making them more unfair. He is afraid the risks of his company getting confiscated in Russia, not the factory in China, but he has a warehouse and he has a bunch of lighting fixtures and lights and so forth, and it costs lots of money. Said there's a chance that just get confiscated by the state and nationalized, as they say, and this is what happens with many companies. And of course, he said that the Russian market is shrinking, and they have started saving money, cutting costs. They have started saving money on lightning, and it's really a big deal to transfer money to his Chinese company now, from Russia to the Chinese company. So he looked at me, he said, Russia is not worth it. And that's a pretty bad sign for Russia. When people like him, who own production facilities in China and who are geared towards Russia, they decide all of a sudden it's not worth doing business in Russia. It means that he will fire all the people. He'll close his company. There will be no taxes generated. The market will become less competitive, and that's it. So, folks, this has been my message. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. I would like to hear your opinion on whether you found this news selection interesting, my explanation interesting, educational. Let me know. Feedback is hugely important. It just motivates me to keep on forward. And if you have nothing good to say, just drop me a couple nice lines saying, hey, Konstantin, thank you. It's always such a great pleasure to read, something like that. So thank you. My message has been very long. I would like to turn the live stream chat on, but we can't go for a long time, perhaps 20 minutes or so. Please write your questions in all caps or put Inside Russia after @ so it appears in highlighted in orange, and I see that. If you're here for the first time, we have the best moderation team in the world: Lorna, Mami K, Dirk, Bob S, Harry, and Amir Fazad. It's fantastic people and the best mods that you can find anywhere in the universe. Yes, I guarantee you that. So thank you, friends. What do you think? Shoot me the questions, messages. I would love to hear your feedback. Mods, I promise, not gonna go for long. Message has been big. 3 messages in one. How about that? Harry is with us, but he's at work. Well, he's with us anyway. Thank you so much, Dirk. Again, Lorna, Mommy, Bob, Bakerstock, howdy, Koshkin Dom, keeping you in prayers. Leitmotiv for me, Southern California. Remind me, whereabouts? Southern California. California dreaming, such a winter's day. Kentucky, Arbeck 820, the usual suspect from Kentucky. Welcome, friend. Airborne Snail, Seahawk, howdy. John Abira from Liverpool. Biober, howdy. Crusader Damien. The best questions and the best food for thought comes from Crusader Damien. Thank you. Terry, thank you so much for nice word. Palm Tree Kate, howdy, howdy. Tacoma, in the house. Paul Wright, Jodes Rames, Pamela, Concert Indiscreet One, howdy. Bob, good to see you. Good evening from the Netherlands, says Yuri Chen. Howdy, howdy. Delaware, MM93 must win. Not that Brandon from Texas. Wisheron. Super interesting. Thank you. Thank you. I tried. This message was born, and I did quite a bit of work of putting it, shortening it, and putting it in a form that can be understood easily. Thank you. Привет from Texas. Not that Brandon again. Bryce Frank, thank you. Martin Van Gien, good message. Thank you so much. Mac has just sponsored 5 people. Thank you, Mac, from me and from 5 people. Much appreciated. I remind you that every Saturday we have private live streams for sponsors and patrons. More personal, slower paced. I can't say more fun. This is fun also, but it's just more personal streams. And every single sponsor and patron receives access to 9 news every single day that I find important. I discuss with my daughter Oля. She helps me out. Thank you so much. Web forms suck. Konstantin, what do you think of Bill Browder's address to the Treasury Committee? My friend, I am always honest. And I am honestly telling you that I have not heard of Bill Browder's latest address to the Treasury Committee. I know who Bill Browder is. I value the guy highly. I read his book. I know his story. I know the story of his fund and his employee, Magnitsky, who was killed in Russian prison. I follow Bill Browder, but I have not heard his address. I will do so, and please come back. We'll talk about it later when I read or listen to it. So super interesting. Thank you. Terry was waiting all day for this. I learned so much about things I don't understand. Terry, thank you so much. You just gave me a huge compliment. Thank you. Thank you, friend. Frank in Texas, howdy. Andrew from South Africa, hello, as usual. On my new free government Blue 10L Pro notepad. Hey, that's pretty cool. New notepad is always good. Frank, I don't really know what happened with the button that you can't gift memberships. It's not me, definitely. I didn't do anything. Hermit, Hamid Sunshine. Friend Sunshine, can I say that? Southern California. Sending love from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Eva, topinambar is a starch root bulb, much like sweet potato, blossoms yellow, like a small version of sunflower. The bulbs taste nice and give some flatulence. You know, I mean, what can I say? Putin traveled to China to get approval for Russian companies to export topinambar into China. Oh, I mean, am I the only one laughing? This is crazy. Like starch root bulb, much like sweet potato. Nice job, Vlad. You know, nice, good. Or perhaps it's his company or his friends or relatives. He wants to make millions on that. Whew. Southern Ontario, Robert Byron, howdy. Renata Kuhn, guten Abend. Curious Sand, don't you think China and Russia made some deals, but China could not afford to show it publicly, not to provoke the Europeans? I don't think so. Well, obviously there's a lot behind going on behind the closed doors, but usually successful meetings aren't like that. Everyone leaves in good mood. There is a joint statement, very nice joint statement, and they usually sign, they give small pieces and bits and pieces. They sign more agreements and things like that. Successful visits to China, Vladimir Putin did in the past. This one, you know, it doesn't look right, doesn't look good. We will see how Vladimir Putin acts in the coming days, okay? Because, well, we would see much more in public if something good, some deals were made behind the closed doors. Some deals that Putin would consider good for him would be made. Definitely not topinambar, okay? Great Southern Land, howdy. Putin doesn't realize that rearranging chairs on the Titanic doesn't avoid the iceberg. I think he does realize that, and Great Southern Land. My personal theory is he does realize that, but what he's trying to do is trying to prolong for as long as possible. Remember his face during his inauguration, during his triumph, his celebration, his moment that he lives for. You know, he's announced the king again for the 5th time. And remember his face? I'll try to show you that face right there. I just love showing it. Hang on. Hang on, friends. I love showing it. Huh? Do you think that, judging from this picture, he doesn't know that rearranging chairs on the Titanic doesn't avoid the iceberg? Well, let's look at this face for a little bit. I like it. Oh, Janice Burgess, good to see you. The pillar of Inside Russia. Howdy, howdy. Sending love to beautiful Nevada from Uzbekistan. Rofi Mao, howdy. Susan Angela from Arizona, hello, hello. And looks like we have Crusader Damien, thank you so much for a question. Do you think China could send the West a few 100,000 plain green military uniform and non-branded equipment Asking for a friend, definitely not NATO. I think they could. They could. And I think I think they send. Well, at least it was a couple years ago. There was information that they were sending a friend in the West, who is in an active war, and that's not Russia. We have a new sponsor, R. Stewart. Thank you so very much. Joe's Rames is back with a big bang. Thank you, friend, for sponsoring 5 people. And Andrew Eisen, thank you so much. Also, gift of sponsorship to 5 people. Thank you. All right, enough of this guy. Now look at me a little bit. 5 more people. Leitmotif, visiting family. Okay. Because I remember that you're not from California. Doctor YouTuber, after the personnel changes, is anyone now in a better position to replace Putin, either wanted or unwanted by Putin? I don't think so. At this point, I think that he knows exactly what he's doing. He's a genius. Evil mind, genius mind behind this. He knows how to balance power. He's been in power for 24 years, okay? I think that's something that he's naturally good at. So I think now everyone is in a worse position to replace Putin after all these shufflings. I'm pretty sure that they had been thought for a long time. Frank, thank you. You are back with a bang. Thank you, friend, for sponsoring 5 people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have many more sponsors today. Just Jimmy, good to see you. EQ. Shoigu is the most corrupted and least competent. Remove him is not good for Ukraine. Back to differ. I made the entire stream why I think removing him is good for Ukraine. Because now the army is going to go into a turmoil. And it's certainly not going to get any better with Belousov. By the way, there are rumors circulating right now that, Shoigu is not the only one. His clan is Kovalchuk, old Putin's friend, the governor of Moscow region, Moscow province, Vorobyov, and a few other people. Their net worth is rumored to be $500 billion. $500 billion. There are rumors that Ivanov alone is worth 70 billion US dollars. Can you just apprehend these numbers? I'm not sure whether they're true or not, but that's what I heard. If there's smoke, then there should be fire someplace. VJ John from Montreal, howdy friend. I was thinking of you and Montreal Canadiens. Michael was playing scrimmage today. Martin Van Owen, thank you so much for good words. Pinda, congratulations again. Such fantastic news about your family. Praying for you. Thank you for coming back. You're never late, always on time. Brother Randall, I am joining you and thanking everyone who's giving sponsorships. Kaltenberg, howdy. Clique, not clan. Well, we can differ in words, but the idea is the same. Terry Carter, Putin is ex-KGB and has learned the system very well. I would say that he grew up on that system. Not just learned, but he grew up. Bleeping Bobby. That's funny. Who would even want to follow after Putin? Terry, that's a big discussion, I cannot answer this just like in one sentence. Karen Barden, thank you so much. Hertfordshire. Oh, sorry. Some words are difficult for me to pronounce. Hertfordshire, the UK. Hertfordshire. Frank in Texas has got his mojo back. Dr. YouTuber, thank you for good words. Okay, and it looks like it's time to wrap up. This is my most favorite part of any stream, talking to you. Susan Angela, Jake Bro has a phenomenal fundraiser going on for the invaded country. Get in on it. Well, let me tell you something, Susan. I make money here at YouTube, and about a year ago, if many people follow me for a long time and many people remember, I made a manifest. I'll repeat that, basically. I make money from YouTube, and I take part of that money to support myself. And I take another part of that money, and I spend it on things that I don't talk about here in public. But when I'm asked by God, by people in the future, what I was doing in 2023, 2024, I'll be proud to answer, okay? So that's the best I can answer. Putin's face, he knows what's coming. I think so too. A face of realization. Thank you so much. Yeah. Great Southern Land. It makes two of us about this opinion. Jeffrey S., Mr. Humor of Inside Russia. Yes, not a happy camper at all. Not happy camper. And let's look at him again. And Big Vlad, how are you doing? How are you doing in the Kremlin? Tell us. Wish he could tell. KG1, will Putin ever get March 2 off to The Hague? No, he will not be. He won't make it there. They will not let him, okay? He is so much better, more convenient for everyone, not in Hague, okay? But in Russia. Dead or alive, doesn't matter, if you know what I mean. Mr. Rasmussen, thank you so very much from Denmark. Again, Soren, KG1, Frank, Crusader Damien, R. Stewart, Mac. Thank you so very much. Richard. Frandenson, welcome to Inside Russia. Good to see you here. Thank you. So, friends, again, thank you very much for coming. It's fantastic to see everyone here. I am Auntie Samantha, close to 300 subscribers. I am at 299,370 something. At least I was before the stream. I would say day after tomorrow, perhaps tomorrow, most likely on Saturday. And we hit the stream well, I'm sorry, we hit the 300K, we'll do a little celebration. Not a big one, because to me, it's not about having so many subscribers, but it's a milestone. And it's definitely a milestone for me, for the mods, for the community. And it just gives me reinforcement. It gives me feedback that people watch me and they like enough to subscribe. And that's what just drives me absolutely happy. But yeah, thank you so much. Andrew, again, thank you. Palm Tree Kate, I have 5 updates I'm working on right now as videos, not the live streams. Videos are so much more difficult to work on. Live stream is 8 hours, video is like 18 hours, okay, nonstop. I promise I will do soon. I have all the material. I'm finishing up writing the script for the video. Or more like getting all the data together, not just a script, but doing fact checking and things like that. But it's incredibly time consuming. But that's very important on trains, on planes, on industry, on economy. I'm doing all these updates. Thank you. So, Dave, thank you so much. Love you too. Thank you. Okay. Please, another picture. Oh. Oops. I forgot. I personally love this picture. I could look at it for a long time. VJ John, that's very controversial. That's very tricky question. Do you think Putin will make it to 2025? I had a gut feeling he wouldn't make it to 2024. And I was telling everyone he made it until 2024. It's really, I'm not going to say anything about 2025 now. Thomas, one of the almost 300. Thank you so much. Well, I'm honored that, you know, that you find it interesting enough to subscribe and keep on coming here. Thank you. So, the collapse in Siberia. Okay. Thank you, friends. Time to pray. I would like to invite everyone to pray along with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're religious, let's pray. If you're not, just still pray with us. Send good wishes, good vibes, good, you know, energy to the universe. You can call it whatever you want. To me, if you have love in your heart, and you do, because I have not seen anyone without love. Some people have more, some less, but everyone has love. Even Vladimir Putin has love. That's God to me. And if we don't believe in God, then God believes in us. That's what's most important. Okay, so let's pray. Thank you. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for allowing us to get together here. Thank you for giving us food on our tables and roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and safe. Give us wisdom to raise our children the way that they will, when they grow up, they will never engage in any wars. They will love each other. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy, because they are our world and our life. Please stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Help the country, help the people of Ukraine. Keep them safe. Please help everyone who's been affected by this terrible tragedy. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Please reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people who are responsible for making the decision to stop the bloodshed. Reach out and touch them and fill them with love wake them up so they make this decision to stop the bloodshed. Dear Lord, please help my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords led by Saint Michael and send them like your heavenly avalanche to this earth to get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country, who we know by faces and by their names. Send them to the where they belong to hell, and help angels. Send your angels to help good Russian people run Russia so it becomes peaceful, loving, and respecting. Thank you. Please send safe travels to everyone who is traveling. Send safety to everyone who is in high waters right now in danger. Please help those in Ukraine who are under threat of Russian attacks, under attacks. Send your angels to keep them safe and protect them. God bless those who are helping Ukrainians. Please help single mothers who are struggling, raising their kids, trying to make ends meet. Send them help. And please help all the sick, hungry, addicted, depressed, homeless, jobless, lonely, betrayed, the ones who are losing faith, the ones who are not feeling about themselves and about their lives, the ones who feel like they have no exit and life is over, the ones who are in despair. Please send help to every person who needs help. Reveal yourself to them. Show your love. Fill their hearts with love so they feel it. They feel you are right next to them. They feel that you are helping. You're watching every step they make. That you have not abandoned them. That you love them. And when they feel that, they will not feel alone anymore. That they will not feel powerless. They will take that love, and that love will make them feel much better and happier. Please help everyone in need. Thank you so much for all people who are praying with me right now, praying along or simply watching us pray. Answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. Dear Lord, I would like to ask for some people who need your help. They are little girl Hannah. Thank you for the help that you have provided to her and her parents. Please continue helping her. Send your angels to send her recovery, send her family strength. Thank you. Please help Ann Larson and her daughter Hannah, Jeffrey S. and his family, Alex from Albuquerque, Mark Rutten, Koshkin Dom, Lisa Kumrian, help recover, Tom W. with hip replacement, please help recover, Terry Carter, Ron Klotzer, John McLean, Linda Trombley, Gabing with Gaby, Dennis, Paula W., Jason Carney, please send complete recovery, Sandra Dunn, Susie Mailer, Frank Caprio, Frank in Texas, Tim Mayers, Larry B., Dominic, James Marston, Warren Spees, Morgan L., Kurt, Bogey Burger and Sons, Electrons family, Rhonda McGillis, Kyle E.'s wife, Dory, Wayne, Dave, Dawn, Scan family members, Leslie Fleming's daughter, Darla, Liz Dombrow, White Lightning, George Ruberty, Julia Haney, Linda Trombley, Natalia, Yelena, Michael, Jake, Sky, Oля, Dasha, Svetlana, Grace, Randolph, Mr. Dean Spooner at his church, Liz, Karen, David Porter and everyone who is in Chernovtsi and his family, Meta Spencer, Alvin, Pamela J, Leif, Stefan from Sweden, the Highwayman, dear Lord, please help everyone who is in need. Help all the children who have been displaced from Ukraine. Help them find their families and, be reunited with their parents. Thank you so very much. Thank you, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, friends. I want to say just one thing. You're awesome and you rock. I hope that I presented you something educational, something interesting today. I'm working hard on it. I will come back tomorrow with crazy news update from Russia. And boy, there are so many crazy news. Please come back at the usual time. Thank you so much. Before I sign off, I'd like to say that you are awesome and you rock. And before I sign off, I would like to ask you the usual. Please say along with me as loud as you can. Carthago delenda est.